Why does South Africa hate economic prosperity? Why do we keep on committing the same economic suicide that keeps us poor? And how can we turn this around? Welcome to the State of the Nation Weekly Update. Today, we're going to tackle the biggest issue in the country. But before we do that, let's give a shout out to the sponsors of this episode, Pace Car Rental. Pace are celebrating their 20th anniversary. And in helping us to celebrate that anniversary, you can get a discount off your next car rental by going to the Pace website, booking a vehicle for hire, using our code, SONA, S-O-N-A, none of those other podcast codes, ours, SONA, and you'll get a discount off your next car hire. You know, I was recently asked a question, what do I think is the biggest problem facing South Africa today? And I had no hesitation in giving my answer, that I'm not scared about xenophobic violence. I'm not scared about any problem that could come out of any region of the country. What terrifies me is the fact that we have become so used to not having economic growth. If you look throughout Africa, that has become part of the problem. People just get used to a bad economy. No politicians ever get held to account. Countries just slide away. They just get worse and worse. And South Africa is heading in the same direction. You know, our economic growth is non-existent. Our unemployment rate continues to climb. It is currently at 32%. 1 in 3 people doesn't have a job. And amongst the youth, that climbs to well into the 40% mark, close to 45% of the youth, 18 to 30, unemployed. And the country finds itself in an increasingly hopeless situation. It's time to own up to the fact that this is a self-caused problem. It's a slow-motion economic suicide. We've just seen in this past week that the Reserve Bank Governor, Lesetso Kganyaga, who has done a great job as Reserve Bank Governor in bringing down inflation all the way down to his target in the 3% range, raised interest rates because oil prices are up in the Middle East, which has raised petrol prices, which has raised the cost of everything because everything has to be transported by road because the government couldn't maintain the rail infrastructure. Now, I'm sure that the Reserve Bank Governor had good intentions. But does he really believe that once President Donald Trump or Ayatollah Mushtaba or Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu hear that South Africa raised interest rates because higher petrol price, they're going to stop the fighting in the Middle East and open the Strait of Hormuz? No, they're not. It's going to carry on and the oil price is going to be wherever it is. Our interest rate is only going to hurt South Africa. Inflation is coming, whether we like it or not, until we adjust to the new petrol price and the new pricing. Raising the interest rate will not help. It will take money out of the economy, right? Which ordinarily is a break to inflation. But it's a miracle that South Africa hasn't any inflation at all. Why? Because we barely have an economy. Now, let's understand that part of the problem here is that people in government think that inflation is caused because South Africans are living too well. We're spending too much money. But the reality is we have inflation because the people in government are living too well. Our costs of running this massive state, this quasi-communist country of ours, is more than what the current tax base can manage. Now, we've got to be careful in this country because South Africa is being stalked by the 4 horsemen of the economic apocalypse, all of our own choosing. And the only way out of the apocalypse is going to be economic growth and the dramatic expansion of industry in this country. So what are these 4 horsemen and what is this economy that I feel is being stalked? Well, let's start. Number 1, we have some of the worst economic and industrial policies in the world. Right? These are supported by our hastening international irrelevance, where we keep on choosing to act not in the interests of South Africa and its economy, but in our own imagined glorious past. The second horseman is the quasi-government, which spends more money than we can ever generate in taxes. And the only way we can fund this fantastical spending is through debt. And currently our national debt is at 5.5 trillion rand. It costs us more than R1 billion a day just in interest payments. Every day, just bleeding out of the economy. Number 3, we have these restrictive monetary policies that would be more appropriate for Switzerland than for a country like South Africa that needs all the economic tailwind that we can get. And number 4, the only thing that creates any value whatsoever is our small private sector, and that is being strangled by ideology, bureaucracy, and the red tape around the neck. Right, so let's have a look at this decision to raise interest rates, right? The definition of inflation is too much money chasing too few goods. You know, when one person wants to buy an item, that's the price. When 3 people want to buy the same item, the price goes up. We all know how an auction works. We all know, and life is really just an auction. And raising rates is a mechanism just to take money out of the economy. I get it. I understand the economic theory. It does work. But from time to time, you need to look at your monetary policy in allowing the economy to grow. Now, I've got a terrible confession to make. I think that South Africans have literally lost the institutional memory of what economic growth is and what it can do. South Africa had economic growth in the 2000s. We saw our economic growth top 4%, at one point even get up for a brief moment up to the 5% mark. And it was unbelievable, the effect on the country. There were buildings being built. There were housing developments being done. There were people being sucked in by this notion, this crazy notion that there was such a thing called jobless growth. Well, here's the facts. During that period, South Africa was adding 500,000 jobs, permanent jobs, every year. We now shed that many jobs in a quarter or two, every single quarter or two. The last time South Africa had meaningful economic growth was in the late 2000s, early 2010s, thanks to the Football World Cup development, right? You now, 16 years later, have a whole generation of people that have never experienced economic growth, and they do not understand the transformative effect of economic growth. But the real thing that the government hates the most is that in the case of in the case of our economy growing, some people will get rich. And when people get rich, they do not depend on the state as much. Let's face it. You make money, you buy your own car. You don't need the government's buses or trains or any other thing. You don't need taxis. Right? If you get rich, you put solar panels on your roof. You don't need Eskom. You get rich, you send your kids to private schools. So all in all, the government becomes increasingly irrelevant when the economy grows. And this terrifies the government. So we must understand that the government acts as an agent to keep economic growth down. It does not want a wealthy population. This idea that economic growth is in some way bad is an old communist idea, right? Because the last thing that the government wants is you to be rich. They want you to be poor and dependent on the government. We have become so accustomed in the last 2 decades to bad times that we self-sabotage at every opportunity. And this interest rate increase, to me, is another act of self-sabotage. Oh dear, the last thing we want is an economy that grows, therefore we'll put up interest rate and take a couple of billion rand out of the economy, because that is the net effect of what the Reserve Bank action is going to have on the economy. We held out so much hope that the government of national unity would help guide our misdirected government towards greater economic sanity. But it has not materialized. And why not? Well, for starters, the ANC will only allow control of the economic levers of power to be taken from their cold, dead hands. And they are not quite dead yet. So they are controlling this economy for all they are worth. We have to remember that the Democratic Alliance, as the next biggest part of that government of national unity, is not a progressive, economic, conservative party. It is a combination of old left-leaning liberals from the Progressive Party and old-style nationalists from the Nationalist Party. Neither of those entities or those factions understand economic growth. Have you ever heard of any business-friendly, business-supporting policies coming out of the DA? They come out with, if it's not BEE, it's something close to BEE. They never ever talk about cutting red tape or making it easier and cheaper for people to start businesses. No, they are coming out of the same angle as what the ANC has got. So the GNU is not the answer. And then we've got to understand the psychology. The genius of the post-Mbeki ANC was to get the country, especially the media, to fall for this terrible thought that the biggest economic problem facing South Africa is transformation and not growth. They have got people to think, to inject transformation ahead of any economic story, right? Transformation is a social thing. It's a constructed thing. You're saying this South African is more South African than that South African. It's a crazy idea. And explain to me how changing 2 board members for 2 other board members is going to grow the economy. God alone knows, right? But that is the policy that we live with at the moment. They've even got some intelligent people to parrot these lines. Like they parrot that line that the growth in the early 2000s was somehow jobless, even though the very statistics from government prove them wrong, right? Now, we are in an absolute mess. So, how do we deal with our 4 horsemen of our economic apocalypse that are stalking the country? How do we deal with it? So I said, number 1, economic policy, right? Let us get people in the room that understand business, not people that work for corporates. They do not understand business. They have worked their way, those big companies have worked their way into a monopoly position. When they advise the government on business, they are actually advising government with a view of keeping their monopoly. So when you have people sitting there in the Presidential Advisory Committee and they say they're speaking for business, they could be speaking for a bank. What is that guy thinking when he's talking about economic policy? How do we keep out other banks? The last thing we want is another Capitec. So let's just make sure that we just change the law that makes it impossible for somebody to start another bank, right? That's logic. Then you have a whole lot of academics that read textbooks for a living, right? They don't live in the real world. They get paid by a university. They don't understand business. And then you have government officials that use your and my tax money. There is nobody there that understands economic growth. Perhaps they could just spend 15 minutes discussing how transformation results in economic growth, how changing one person for another, how that 1 minus 1 is going to equal 2. Somebody must explain to me, right? There is no mystery when we deal with economic policy that we've got to understand that there are many people in the ANC that would have preferred a far different outcome to the Cold War. But that didn't happen. Now they cling on to the fact that maybe the Cold War isn't over, maybe it carried on. Well, then take a leaf out of the only big communist country that still exists, and that's China, that is now the most radically capitalist country in the world. Have a look at what they do and do what they do. Get the message. And take an hour to research how India transformed itself from an economic basket case in the early 1990s to one of the biggest economies in the world. They had policies exactly like South Africa. They changed those policies almost overnight, saw the economic benefit, and now the country is growing at a staggering rate. So that's on the economic policy. What's the second horseman of the policy of the apocalypse? And that is our quasi-communist government has to accept that it's trying to do too much. It does not have the ability or the resources or the know-how to do what they think they can do. Right? They should shelve those noble but unattainable ego projects like national health insurance, land expropriation, that all it's doing is hurting the economy. We can also shrink the size of this bloated government, privatize or shut down many of these blood-sucking state-owned entities. That is how we deal with that second part, that second horseman. The third part, our monetary policy makers, our monetary policy in this country. These policy makers should understand that this economy and jobs growth is the most important issue facing South Africa. And I must admit, I'm now starting to agree with those people that says, this Reserve Bank needs to change, because this thing about them only fighting inflation, that's fine. If the economy is growing, then fight inflation. But right now, you have fought inflation to the point that the economy is not growing. Well done. That is like killing the patient on the operating table and then he feels no more pain. Yes, but you've killed the patient, right? We all understand the importance of containing inflation, but this is ridiculous. We have got lower inflation than first world countries, right? This should be second to growth. And then lastly, the private sector that has to fight its way through a jungle of red tape, through employment equity craziness, through some of the highest tax rates in the world, through failing local governance, uncertain electricity supply, and the list goes on and on. We have got to think that South Africa must be a desirable destination for capital, a desirable destination for investment. And investors only invest when they think that they can make money. What we need to do is rekindle the animal spirits of the economy, where you look at something and you say, you know what, I can build a better restaurant. I can make a better suit, something, and start that business, right? We are not some first world country that has the luxury to decide whether or not we need international investment. We need all the investment we can get. We need this place to be, the leash to be taken off this wild animal of the economy. At the moment, it is just dead. The time has come for this country to stop committing economic suicide. It is such a cruel thing that we are doing to the next generation of South Africans by ensuring that they're going to be poorer than their poor parents. It is an indictment on bad governance. A government can't be the builder of a house for every person. It's never happened in the world. It's not going to happen here, right? We need to stop all of this nonsense and understand that the only thing that matters is the economy, right? Understand that the thing that will stop the war in the Middle East will be those countries defending their economic interests, to say, you know what, this war is bad for our economy, then we'll stop the war. That's how important they view their own economies. Why don't we view our economy as important as the rest of the world? It is the biggest problem facing South Africa. Those are my views. Tell me what you think about the economy. Put it in the comments below. Let's get this conversation started because it is so important. Thank you for joining me on the weekly update. Please remember to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for joining us.